Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are tearing down a genuinely wild case study. We're looking at how someone utilized an AI agent to execute a massive, highly complex technical workflow, all under a crazy tight deadline. So picture this. You're staring down the barrel of writing 55 pages of dense, highly technical software documentation. Oh, and your product launch? It's right around the corner. If you've ever been responsible for shipping docs under pressure, you know the drill. It's usually a recipe for way too much coffee and maybe a few suppressed tears.
And it's not just the text, right? We're talking about capturing, perfectly cropping, and optimizing 59 precise UI screenshots. The kicker? The product's interface is actively changing right underneath you while you're trying to do it. It's literally a moving target, which usually guarantees an endless, soul-crushing loop of manual updates.
Okay, let's dive into how author Debbie O'Brien actually pulled the whole shebang off in just 4 days. She used an open-source AI agent named Goose, and we're going to unpack exactly how she did it without skipping sleep. Spoiler alert, it required fundamentally changing how we actually work with AI. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll hit the documentation problem, introduce Goose the agent, look at the 3 specific AI skills it learned, break down the 4-day sprint, examine what inevitably broke, and wrap up with the future of docs. Section 1. The documentation problem. The nightmare scenario here was for Zephyr Cloud's AI platform. They were shipping features insanely fast on a rapidly evolving Tari desktop app. But the only docs they had were purely developer-focused reference pages. Absolutely useless to an everyday end user, right? And the biggest friction point by far was those manual screenshots that just break the second a dev tweaks a button in the UI. Section 2. Enter Goose the agent. To survive this without typing for 96 hours straight, Debbie brought in Goose. It's an open-source AI from Block that runs locally, reads files, runs shell commands, the works. And this perfectly highlights the massive paradigm shift of this project. This wasn't about prompting an AI over and over again. It was about formally teaching it how to do the job once. We're all so used to opening a chat window and starting from zero every time, but by building what they call skills, you move from just commanding an AI to actually teaching it. The crucial takeaway here is that by writing these skills, you're essentially onboarding a hyper-competent junior colleague who perfectly memorizes your style guide and your toolset on day 1. Under the hood, they're just Markdown files, but they completely transform a generic AI into a specialized tool built for your exact workflow. Section 3. Teaching AI 3 skills. To make this sprint happen, she built 3 incredibly clever skills to serve as the AI's engine. The first one, Write Docs, was 513 lines long, dedicated entirely to ensuring every single page had the exact right casual yet confident voice. It rigidly enforced rules like bolding UI elements, banning emojis, sticking to active voice. It even had a strict verification checklist the agent had to clear before committing code. Because of this, the agent absolutely nailed the tone from the very first sentence. Now, the doc screenshots pipeline is where things get really wild. Standard web tools like Playwright couldn't automate this native Tari app, so they built this genius OS-level pipeline. The agent uses a macOS tool called Peekaboo to focus the app window, grabs a 2x retina capture, and then actually uses Apple's Vision Framework OCR to physically locate text on the screen, so Python scripts can draw highlight overlays. Basically, it literally turned taking screenshots into reproducible code. The third skill, Docs Preview, was the ultimate safety net. The agent didn't just guess if its Markdown formatting worked. It instantly deployed a live URL to a global edge network in 1.8 seconds. Then it used Playwright CLI to automatically inspect the rendered HTML for any broken links or dead images. I mean, under 2 seconds to build, push, and visually verify the site actually looked right, that is a game changer. Section 4. The 4-day sprint. Now, just telling an AI to write all the docs is obviously a recipe for disaster, so they executed a very strict phased timeline. Day 1 was all planning and groundwork. Day 2 was this massive evening sprint that knocked out 12 commits. Day 3 was a heavy lifting, 43 commits, and they had to regenerate all 59 screenshots in minutes because of a sudden UI redesign. Just imagine doing that manually. And Day 4 was catching gaps and final polishing. Having those built-in stopping points to review the agent's work is exactly what saved them on Day 3. Section 5. What broke along the way? Of course, we live in the real world, and things break, but the beauty of this workflow is how they handled the friction. Mid-sprint, a rebrand required some manual review for awkward phrasing. Then there were OCR hiccups. It hilariously misread get update as get undate because, well, AI isn't exactly great at romance. So she updated the skill to search for substrings instead. When mouse hover states triggered annoying tooltips, she programmed the agent to literally park the cursor out of the way before snapping the picture. The skill actually accumulated knowledge as they went. Which brings us to this absolutely crucial takeaway. Agent-driven, not agent-written. The agent does not replace your judgment. It acts as this tireless collaborator sitting right next to you, handling all the mechanical heavy lifting so you can focus entirely on editorial flow and the story. You don't just kick it off and walk away. You review, you course correct, and you make the real decisions.
Section 6. The future of documentation.
So what's the big takeaway from this intense sprint? It goes way beyond just turning out markdown files faster. We are actively moving into a world where documentation is evolving into a structured knowledge layer for AI. Features like adding an LLMs.txt file mean any AI agent can fetch and read this entire 55-page manual in literally seconds. It turns your traditional human-readable docs into an API for other AI agents. And that leaves us with a really fascinating challenge. If AI agents can ingest your entire product documentation in the blink of an eye, is your product actually ready for an AI-first world? When the friction of creating docs totally disappears, our real job shifts to designing software that teaches itself. Definitely something to think about for your own projects. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. I really hope this sparks some ideas for your own workflows, and I'll catch you on the next one.